Thousands, that's very optimistic. The comments come just a few days after North Korea launched a test of an intercontinental ballistic missile, which went farther than any other previous tests. The fear is that it could hit the U.S. with a nuclear warhead, and at the same time, the regime is also reportedly stepping up its submarine activity. So does all this mean the likelihood of war is on the rise? Let me bring in Gordon Chang. He's the author of Nuclear Showdown. Gordon, and North Korea Takes on the World is his subtitle. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Kennedy.
So obviously they are on an accelerated schedule. I think the conventional wisdom has been that North Korea would have an ICBM tipped with a nuclear warhead that could reach the United States within about a year, but does it look like it's going to be sooner than that?
It could very well be, because the missile they tested on July 28th could go maybe as far as Chicago, and some people are actually talking about Boston and New York. But even if they can't at this very moment, we know that they've got longer range missiles, which they haven't tested yet. This was a two-stage missile. They've got a three-stage one in the background, the KN-08. So, you know, if you're living in Florida, it's going to be pretty soon within range.
Well, never mind Florida. I mean, think about Hawaii, and that's why the U.S. is testing that THAAD missile system, I'm guessing, in Alaska, because Alaska and Hawaii are certainly within reach of North Korea right now, correct?
Certainly. And the only thing the North Koreans haven't been able to do is to have a reliable heat shield to bring the nose cone back into the atmosphere without it burning up. They've had 3 tests now this year of reentry. 2 of them probably were successful. The one on Friday was not successful. We saw that from the Japanese video. But they're getting close. And they're getting close on guidance and all the rest of it.
I was going to say that most recent launch hit pretty much where it was supposed to, which was within the Sea of Japan. And you and I were talking a little bit before the break, because what's so curious about North Korea and what you document all the time is that they don't adhere to the traditional rules of détente. And this really could escalate, and the idea that they could sacrifice, that Kim Jong-un could sacrifice millions of his own people, that's normally the thing that stops someone from engaging in a nuclear war, but not so much with him. How does this end?
Well, you know, in the Great Famine of the 1990s, Kim Jong-il, his father, let somewhere between 1 and 2, maybe even 3 million people die when they had the means to save them. Now, the way I think this ends is that there's going to be a crisis.
What does that mean? You say there's a crisis. Does that mean that we're going to invade North Korea? What does a crisis look like to you?
We would threaten to invade North Korea. It would be something like 1994, when we were days within a military strike on North Korean facilities. And people say in Washington, and you're starting to hear this in the policy community, that this is where we're going to get to. We're going to be on the brink of hostility, maybe history's next great conflict, and then we might pull back, because then, you know, people will realize how bad this is. You know, Lindsey Graham talks about thousands of people dying over there. Well, you know, there's 100,000 Americans in Seoul alone. We have 28,500 service personnel on the peninsula. We got 50,000 in Japan. We have a lot more spread throughout the region, including Guam. So there will be American casualties, even if all the fighting is over there. And it very well may not be, because this could be history's first nuclear exchange. And it could be not just North Korea and the United States. On the other side, you could also have China. Remember, in 1950, China came in on the Korean War. We didn't think that they were going to do that. So they can surprise us as well.
Well, I guess China is surprising in their reaction to all of this, because it has been so subdued. And obviously with, you know, 92% of the trade, that's from China to North Korea. You would think that they would have more invested in stopping them from moving forward with these nuclear taunts, but they're just not.
China in the last couple of days has been saying, oh no, it has nothing to do with us. This is a U.S.-North Korea problem. China is out of it. Well, China
I don't believe that. I mean, when they say they have no part in North Korea's nuclear program, I don't believe that for a second.
And you shouldn't, because the missiles that were fired on July 4th and July 28th, Friday, were carried to the launch site by Chinese transporter erectors. And also, North Korea's most advanced missiles, more advanced than the ones we saw this month, are probably of Chinese origin. They look like China's JL-1 submarine launch missile. So there's a lot that we have to start asking the Chinese.
And certainly General Kelly now has a lot on his plate, as he's helping to run the White House as Chief of Staff. Gordon Chang, thanks so much for coming back. Appreciate seeing you.